Look at this landscape. This is the Negev Desert. It covers more than 60% of Israel. The summer temperatures here regularly shatter 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The annual rainfall is practically zero. It is one of the most hostile, bone-dry environments on planet Earth. But step inside this completely sealed, climate-controlled warehouse sitting right in the middle of that exact same desert, and you will find millions of barramundi and tilapia thriving in pristine, crystal-clear water. This makes absolutely no sense. Fish need water. The desert has none. But Israel is an isolated nation. Their Mediterranean coastline is small and heavily trafficked, and the Sea of Galilee is far too ecologically fragile to support mass commercial fishing. If this country was going to achieve total food security and survive a geopolitical blockade, they could not rely on the ocean. They had to build their own. This is the story of Israeli aquaculture. It is a masterpiece of brute force biology, deep earth drilling, and closed-loop thermodynamic engineering. They didn't just conquer the desert, they turned it into one of the most advanced high-tech fisheries on the globe. You cannot farm fish without water, and surface water in the Negev is non-existent. But Israeli engineers knew something that most people didn't. Half a mile beneath the scorching sand lies the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer, a massive prehistoric underground reservoir of water trapped deep within the Earth's crust. They brought in heavy-duty drilling rigs and punched straight down through the bedrock. But the water they pulled up was not fresh. It was highly brackish, loaded with salt and minerals. If you poured this water onto a traditional farm, it would kill the crops instantly. But the engineers realized this salty water had a massive thermodynamic advantage. Because it had been sitting deep inside the Earth's crust, it was geothermally heated. When it breached the surface, it poured out at a perfect constant temperature of around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius, 365 days a year. In a flash of biological genius, the engineers realized this hot, salty, prehistoric water was useless for drinking, but it was the absolute perfect environment for rapid growth, warm water marine life. They had the water. Now they just needed to build the machine. You cannot just pump this hot water into an open hole in the sand. In the Negev, the brutal sun would evaporate it in days, leaving behind a toxic sludge of salt. Instead, companies like Aquamouth engineered massive indoor closed-loop facilities known as recirculating aquaculture systems, or RAS. You need to treat these facilities less like a farm and more like a space station. Inside these massive concrete bunkers, 99% of the water is continuously recycled. But when you cram millions of fish into a closed tank, they generate massive amounts of toxic ammonia through their waste. Without filtration, the fish would poison themselves in a matter of hours. The water is forcefully pumped out of the fish tanks and smashed through massive mechanical drum filters to remove the solid waste. But the real freak engineering happens in the bioreactor. The water is blasted into a massive tank filled with millions of microscopic, genetically optimized bacteria. These bacteria act as a living, biological engine. They literally eat the toxic ammonia out of the water, digesting it and converting it into harmless nitrates. The system is a perfectly balanced, entirely automated ecosystem. The water is cleaned, oxygenated, and pumped right back to the fish, over and over again.
But even with a 99% recycling rate, that remaining 1% of water eventually has to be flushed out of the system. In a normal coastal fish farm, dumping wastewater is an environmental nightmare because it is loaded with high concentrations of fish excrement. specifically nitrogen and phosphorus. But this is Israel, and in the desert, nothing is wasted. What do nitrogen and phosphorus act like when applied to plants? Pure, high-grade fertilizer. This is the ultimate cheat code of Israeli agriculture. The engineers take that dirty, nutrient-dense wastewater from the fish tanks and they pipe it directly out into the surrounding desert. They use it to irrigate massive groves of date palms, olive trees, and fields of highly specialized salt-resistant cherry tomatoes. The fish aren't just producing food, they are acting as a massive automated liquid fertilizer factory for the surrounding agriculture. Every single drop of that prehistoric water is weaponized, used once to grow the protein and a second time to grow the crops. While the desert produces the warm water fish, the Mediterranean Sea still plays a vital role. But the sea has its own brutal engineering challenges. The eastern Mediterranean is battered by massive, violent winter storms. The kinetic energy of these waves will easily tear traditional floating fish cages to shreds, destroying millions of dollars of livestock in a single night. To survive this, Israeli engineers invented the subflex system, submersible flexible cages. They applied military submarine technology to commercial farming. When the coastal radar detects a massive storm system approaching, the farm's central computer automatically kicks in. It deflates the buoyancy tanks attached to the massive cages. The entire fish farm safely sinks 15 meters underwater, dropping entirely beneath the destructive kinetic energy of the surface waves. The storm rages above, and the fish rest peacefully in the calm depths below. Once the storm passes, the tanks are refilled with compressed air, and the massive cages float right back to the surface. The Israeli fish farming network is a masterclass in geopolitical survival. When you do not have enough water, you dig half a mile into the earth to find it. When the water is too salty, you find the exact species of fish that thrives in it. And when the ocean tries to destroy your equipment, you simply engineer your farm to hide underneath the waves. They proved that you do not need perfect geography to feed a nation. You just need perfect engineering. If you want to see exactly how Israel takes all of its human wastewater and recycles a staggering 90% of it to keep these desert farms alive, click the video right here on your screen. Hit subscribe to join the Grand Structures team. I'll see you in the next one.